How should Minnesota account for our recent budget problems? Should we increase taxes on the wealthiest Minnesotans or cut services provided by the government?
I don't believe that's a fair assumption. Our budget problems are directly related to the fact that our government wants to spend our tax money on projects that are irrelevant. We have tax money going to build a new Viking stadium. The team hasn't won in forever. They don't deserve a new stadium. And at the same time, there's a new government building in the works going up for the federal government in Minnesota. And that's just pointless. You have a nice enough building. This is just going to turn into like a luxury apartment. This is not what we need to do. And no, we don't need to tax more people, more things. We just need all different classes, the lower class, middle class, and the rich, to be balanced on how much they make and taxed fairly on that level.
Mr. Bear.
I agree that we are taxing not using our tax dollars rightly, but we should be taxing the rich more and base it off their status and keep the amount of money per property or like salary the same.
Mr. Bear, do you support granting legal status to illegal immigrants? What is your plan to address illegal immigration in America?
That's a state question.
Oh! What is your plan for addressing the achievement gap in Minnesota between white students and minority students?
My plan for fixing the achievement gap in education is to make it more personalized for each student and start school a little later in the day. That way your brain is fully functioning. And then school also needs to be a little more entertaining. That way kids actually want to go to school.
I believe the making school fun is kind of irrelevant. The point of school is to learn how to be a better person, how to be a smarter person, so when you go out into the real world, you know what you're going to do and you're going to be able to contribute to society. You want to be able to go to school at an earlier time because that's going to allow you to get out at a sooner time in the afternoon. I mean, with people in sports these days, you're getting out early releases. If school, say, starts at 9 o'clock instead of 8, you're going out until 4, and if school dismisses their students at, say, 2:45, now they're getting out an hour and 15 minutes early. They're missing almost an entire class and a half. That's too much school to miss. So the school has to stay at the time it currently is, otherwise you're not going to learn as much, and then the achievement gap is just going to get bigger and bigger.
Mr. Braver, do you support any level of marijuana legalization in Minnesota?
In medicinal purposes only. For pleasure uses, I don't agree with fully. I can understand we want to do it, but at the same time, some people don't. So you got to respect that. I will agree to allow it to be used for medicinal purposes because that's helpful and that'll help with illnesses and cures for diseases. At the same time, pleasure uses is not necessary. If you want to do that, I would be in favor of allowing it to happen in specific regions only. Your own house, private areas. Doing it in front of the mass public so that they're all affected should not be allowed. And that is my personal plan.
Mr. Bear.
I agree that it should be used for medicinal uses only, but if it stays inside the hospital, it can't hurt anyone other than, well, no one.
But at the same time, if it stays in the hospital, then
I'll have to interrupt. Mr. Braver, do you support any increase in frac sand mining in Minnesota?
I believe the current level at which we set it is rather appropriate. But as the oil supply gets more and more for the nation, I believe frac sand mining should increase. It's a way for us to keep our oil supply coming from in our nation instead of importing it from other nations, and that helps our economy. And if we can get enough oil to the point where we can begin to export it, our economy will exponentially increase.
Mr. Bear.
I believe that we can frac sand mine in areas, but those areas, it shouldn't affect the environment or our small little towns. And the only way that they can near environmental or civilized areas is they must be able to contain any waste that comes out of it.